Hi, hello, how are ya? I am Krista. I am the owner, founder, HBIC of Penny Lynn, and this is the Penny Lynn podcast. This is our very first episode. I got the idea for a podcast because every week I spend 10 plus minutes on TikTok doing what I like to call shareholder meetings. And I feel like there's just so much more I have to say or want to say. And I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. Amanda and I, my right hand, Penny Lynn, have been toying around with the idea for a while, but we just haven't taken the initiative because we've been a little busy. And so here I am. I got myself this is called a Blue Yeti microphone. I don't know what the sound is like, but I hope it sounds as appealing as it looks. So of course I got it blue because it is Penny Lynn. You know, everything has to be branded blue. My computer's blue, my phone's blue. Now my microphone is blue. My earrings are green though. This is a visual podcast. If you're on YouTube, you can watch it there, but I also have it syndicated on all the other audio podcasts. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon podcasts, if you listen to it that way. Basically what I want to do each week is I want to yap away. I want a full hour to sit down and shoot the shit with you. Because I like to talk and I have a lot to say. And people seem to like the TikTok videos, so I feel like it would be more fun to go in depth. Also, TikTok, I do not promote it. I don't really share much about it. It's very much if you know, and a lot of people don't know. So here we are. So what this podcast is going to look like, ideally, I want to do it once a week for, I don't know, 10 weeks. I feel like that's a good season one. But my plan is to, spend the first part of the podcast kind of talking about updates and talking about Penny Lynn and what we're doing each week and, the general shareholder update of this is what's going on. Kind of move that into a longer form version for podcasting. And then the later half of the episode is kind of talking about the topic of the day. So I have a very loose plan of the first season of the podcast, but today we're going to kind of talk about the evolution and the story, the TLDR of the past 5 years and how I've gotten to where we are today, kind of giving anyone who wants it the background story. But anyone who doesn't want it, just click right out. Don't watch, don't listen. So just, I guess, let me back up and tell you the TLDR of the past few shareholder meetings. These are always available to watch on TikTok. I recommend watching it at 2x speed if your brain works like mine does, because that is how I like to listen to myself. My husband is like, that would drive me crazy, but I don't know, I feel like I digest more. I don't know, that and my attention span is going down the shitter. So I do curse a lot and I apologize if that offends in any way. But so the past couple of months at Penny Lynn have been really fun. We have, continued our more than double growth year over year, and we've just doubled around this month what we did last year, which I didn't think was possible, and yet here we are. And we also just had our first ever $1 million month in the month of October, and that was really cool. That was the first for us, and life, it just seems on the up and up. So in the past couple of months, we have expanded our team greatly. I feel like we are now at 16 full-time people and then about 20 to 25 part-time people. We are based in Wayne, Connecticut. For those who don't know, I guess I should maybe say who I am and what I do. I run Penny Lynn. Penny Lynn is a new age needlepoint store. We have kind of taken the industry a little by storm, if I may. We originated in 2020. We'll get into the story of that, but we are kind of like the new generation of needlepoint. And I like to just tell people who aren't needlepoint that, we're a primarily D2C e-commerce business, a lifestyle brand that just happens to be focused on needlepoint. So that's what I do. We're based in Wayne, Connecticut. We just opened our first retail store in March of this year. So just shy of 8 months, if I can do math, which I can't. So don't quote me on that. And right now I'm in the Penny Lynn office. We have a little office on the back part of our retail store. With the e-commerce is on the back part of the retail store, and then on the back part of that is where my office is. We are currently in the phase of decorating it. I decided to move and set up the store between 20 and 37 weeks pregnant. So the store opened and I was like, we're good. I'm done here. So my office has taken, I would say the biggest hit, but that's very on par for me. Same thing with my house is a lot of the stuff is done, but a lot of it is not done. So behind me, you will just see a blank wall. I do have my Penny Lynn print blanket. So at least there's something. I got stuff down here that for the people watching, I'm explaining what my background looks like. There's finished project, there's project bags. There's actually a little sneak peek right there if you can see it. This is going to be for an upcoming surprise box. I think it's a mirror resort box. This is a mirror that I didn't have room for in my house. So I was like, oh, I have room for it at the office, and it's just here. The plan is to wallpaper this and to put up shelves and, do a little gallery wall of all of my accomplishments. And then if we pan to my left, your right, we are on the water. I think it's the 5 Mile River. I don't know. It connects to the Long Island Sound, and it's a great view, but your view is just of this mug in a white wall. So that's where I am. Amanda shares the other side of this computer with me and the other desk, but she is at Westport currently, which is our old showroom location that we've now turned into Advent HQ. Every year we sell these thing called Advent boxes, and every year we have, we've gone from 50 the first year, then 100, 300, and then this year we did a 24. So the idea of the Advent box is a non-denominational needlepoint surprise box with 24 items leading up ideally until the 25th day of December. Whether you celebrate that or not, you can still get fun stuff. So it spawned out of just seeing the trend on TikTok and loving it, and now it's become a whole big part of our business. But this year we did 2 boxes for the first time. The first box was a 24-day non-denominational needlepoint stuff, and then we did a 12-day Christmas theme box. And every year we try and make it better. We learn, we create, we make new things. Every year I think nobody's going to want this, and then every year it sells out within a few minutes. So I'm very grateful for it. That's part of the reasons why we had a really big month last month, is because we launched those. And let's see, we sold out of the 24 box. In 24-day box we had 500 of those, and we sold out of those in 20 minutes. And then we had 300 of the 12-day box, and those sold out in 3 minutes. So that was 100 boxes a minute, which was insane. I was in Maine for our Maine Stitchers Retreat weekend, and I was just like refreshing, and I was like, okay, now they're gone. And like the holiday box went so fast that people were like, you guys forgot to launch it. And I was like, no, we actually did launch it because you logged on 12:05. Like, it was already sold out. So yeah, that's what Amanda's doing. She's over in Westport, currently packing, organizing. We officially have got all of the items in. We have run into some road bumps of like the bags that all of the items are going into. Not all of them fit. And now we have to like sticker all the bags. We have to get other bags. Some of the products we've had issues with, so we're like kind of what's it called? Not a Hail Mary, some football term. I don't know. My brain doesn't work for that. Sports. And we are, we're figuring it out. We're changing it up. I'm actually like looking on my desk currently. You guys can't see it, so don't worry about it. On my desk currently, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 items in both the boxes. 5, 6, 7 behind the computer. And I'm really excited for these boxes. I think the print on the 12-day box, I don't know, I'm like trying to sell this to you guys. The print on the 12-day box is my favorite, but the items in the 24-day box are better, if that makes sense. You just got more stuff. And like one of the things I'm really, really, really excited about, I guess I can show you because like you're either going to get it or you're not, but we have this, and you have to watch this on YouTube to know what it is, because I will not give you an audio description. But we made these. They go into you knock them in. They hold your canvas. They're beautiful. And it also has inspired me because I really want these as jewelry. I think that'd be really fun. So there's that. Also, I guess fun things. We should do a What's on Krista's Desk segment. One of my very favorite things is this little penny resin paperweight. This is from Kat for our opening. It was just really sweet. I like thoughtful gifts. Another thoughtful gift was from Renee, who works with us. She said, this is so the happy place. And that's very much like what we call our office. Everyone here who works at Penny Lynn is obsessed with working at Penny Lynn. And I think that's why we have so much fun and we are able to do what we do, because everyone is like as invested. It does shine a light on people who aren't as invested. And that maybe that's something we can get into as the series progresses. But we are all like deeply obsessed. Other things on my desk. This is one of the Advent things. So if you don't want to know what it is, look away. Then I have my phone. Then I have two actually really funny things. So if you guys know, we in the office love chomps. I personally really love chomps. Chomps is like a beef stick, and they're like my favorite snack because it's high in protein and low in carb. No, I don't actually give a crap about that, but I do try and eat like this with like if I'm running out and I need a breakfast, I grab this and a piece of cheese with a little protein probiotic yogurt drink, and that is like my morning. So when Chomps reached out, they're like, "Can we partner together for like a fun you know, activation?" I was like, absolutely. And ever since they have been sending us chomps. And we had like a little taste test in the office, and now we're like all chomp influencers. But so this was the inspiration, the all beef and the jalapeno, which are their two most popular. And we created this, which is a full-size chomps canvas. So literally like, and so we're gonna do like a little activation with them on Instagram. Just like not anything like serious, but it'll be a little giveaway of like, why would you think needlepoint? Why would you have a needlepoint beef stick? And so it'll be funny. Another thing I have on my desk is this. And I'll show you like a little something. It is I guess maybe descriptive for the audio people out there. Although I guess YouTube is like maybe my preferred platform of choice. We are making a needlepoint charm necklace, and this was our first sample. So I have some edits to make. We are doing that coastal caviar. We're hoping to get this out in time for holiday. I have a lot of stuff to do before the end of the year, and I'm running out of days to do it. But yeah, so that is what's on my desk. Other things on my desk I actually can't show you. But yeah, I'll try and do like a little segment. What's on Krista's desk today that I can tell you about? Because usually all of the good stuff gets dropped here. All the samples, all of the products, all of the like official things, they come in and they either get put on the bookshelf, which is behind this computer, and it's basically like my sample bookshelf. All my finishing is there. All the stuff to be finished. Lita, where are you? This is actually a paid ad break for National Needlepointers Substack. Please pay $10 a month to subscribe to her Substack because she is the best finisher in the world. No, that was she paid me $0 to say that, but I do absolutely love her. She is currently finishing, drumroll, my Nantucket stroll canvases, and those should be coming in 6 days. And she sent me a picture of the first few, and I am deeply in love. And it's so fun when she comes. This is the next segment is called "Why We Love Lita So Much." Lita is one of our friends, one of my good friends in the needlepoint industry. She is the person behind the Instagram account National Needlepointer, and she is an amazing finisher. She's self-taught, and she actually finishes all of my items. When people are like, "Where do you go to get finished?" I was like, "I have a personal finisher," but she does everything, and she does it so perfectly and beautifully that like she'll literally come into the store and she'll be like, "Here on all my babies." So we're very thankful and excited for her. So I don't know how we got into that. Oh, I have all this stuff that needs to be finished. We just opened up like a ghost stitching program for Penny Lynn, where basically like if you stitch like samples for us, because we have so many things that I literally can't stitch them all, that if you stitch for us, like you can get payment for stitching, which is like the best of both worlds. So now I just have a big fat stack of all the things, including all these items here that I need to turn into finishing. But I need to go to the fabric store. I need to figure out what goes to Lita or what goes to X, Y, and Z. I will say that my favorite public finisher is Rittenhouse. Brought to you by Rittenhouse. No, they have a great finishing system, and they're very transparent with the process and the pricing. And everything I've gotten back from them has been really wonderful. So if you are looking for a good finisher, check out Rittenhouse. Okay, so what shareholder meetings? Let's give you like a quick update on the past few months. So Advent was like a big thing. We sold those, and we're gonna be sending those out within the next few weeks. Emily Kaiser has gotten into the world of needlepoint. If you don't know Emily, she is a wonderful influencer that I started following on TikTok many, many moons ago. She got needlepoint, and we're like very thankful for it. She posted a video of like how I got into needlepoint. She like literally didn't tag us. I think she might have mentioned Penny Lynn, but she like put up a picture of Penny Lynn and like of our like one of our beginner kits. And ever since then, we have literally doubled all of our orders, our daily orders. So we're like very thankful. I very much know and understand the power of influence, but like hers, I don't think, like I don't know that anyone that big has tapped into needlepoint yet or with that strong of a following. She gave us more of a boost in engagement and sales than the Today Show, if that kind of tells you anything about anything. So we have been, for the past few weeks, pushing back launches because we're trying to keep up with the demand of the past few weeks, which we're very thankful for. But it's just part of our world right now is we have about 1,200 orders in the queue, but that does include like Advent stuff. So that's like 800. So I would say we have like another 700 or 800 that we need to be packing, but we're losing half of our staff this week to packing Advent. So we're in the realm of playing the waiting game. All of this to say it has affected our plans for our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. Last year we did a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. We actually did it like the second week of November because we were supposed to be on the Today Show over Black Friday. So we're like, let's get this out first, and then we'll wait for the influx of the Today Show. And it was a good thing that we did it, but we did 20% off, and we only do one like site-wide sale a year, and this was always it. And we did 20% off everything: acrylic, threads, canvases, you name it. And we hover currently, like I say, like we could probably get out 200, 250 orders a day. That is like where we are churning at. At the time of our sale last year, we were probably like 50 to 100. That would be like the time that we would be able to get out in a day. And we got about 1,200 orders per day over 4 days. And it was insane. And we kind of popped our head up on that Monday. And we realized that how many orders we can get out a day versus how many orders we have in the queue. On the second week of November, we had to say our Christmas deadline has officially passed. Like any orders placed on November 11th or past will not make it in time for Christmas. That's how backed up we were. So that sucked because that killed the rest of our Q4. We literally couldn't do anything. We couldn't send an email. We had to put all paid promotion. We had to put all social. Like we couldn't do anything. We couldn't launch anything I wanted to, and it like really hurt us. So this year I was like, not going to happen again. We're going to do a 1-day sale so people can still get the sale, but 1 day so we can keep it like somewhat manageable. The issue with that is because we've been so backed up, and we do have when we get backed up, we can't launch other things because I don't want to overwhelm the team because that's just not fair to me or to them. So we've been pushing back launches, but we do launches every Friday. I'm running out of Fridays until the end of the year. And so we have pushed back so many that now the sale has officially been plucked off the calendar. So you heard it here first, do want to apologize that we're not going to do a end of year sale this year. I would very much like to try and do a sale at the beginning of next year to make up for it. But at this current time and state of affairs, we are not able to offer a sale. What we are going to do over Black Friday is we're going to do, I think, a gift with purchase and then free shipping on Cyber Monday, or switching. I don't fully remember what Emily and I decided, but we did decide to nix a sale just for the betterment of our team, our customers. I hope you understand. I think there'll be a lot of other really great sales, so I do recommend researching and finding a store that you like, because I'm pretty sure almost everyone does a sale. But sadly, we will not this year. But that does mean we're able to crank out some really exciting things. We have our first ever yearly ornament coming. We have a needlepoint charm necklace. We have 2 really big Christmas themed launches. One of them is a 12-day Wedgwood series that I have right here, actually. Speaking of Lita finishing. So I need to show these. These keep getting pushed back. We have our Nantucket Stroll Village. We have Sophie Stitches. We have Marie and Maxwell. We have Roller Rabbit, which is a really big one. I'm actually wearing my Roller Rabbit earrings and matching skirt today. We just went to our first event to kick off like the small part of our collaboration last week. We went into the Madison Avenue store, and when they launched their Christmas pajamas, we were there to do a gift with purchase, like a little mini Roller Rabbit canvas. And we are going to have a larger line with them coming out. So we're going to have a mini rabbit, or a mini monkey, 4-inch monkey regular, a 4-inch monkey stitching, a 4-inch monkey Nantucket themed, and then we're gonna have a larger pillow and a larger like toile print, like a needlepoint print, and then we're gonna have accessories of that print as well. So with all the hopes of, and I do need extra support and love on this, is that like ideally this collaboration goes so well that eventually they will make us needlepoint print pajamas. That is why we're doing what we're doing. That's like my dream goal. to the end of this. So we just gotta show up and show out. We literally at the Madison Avenue store, one of the girls was leaving. She's like, "Okay, like when are the pajamas coming?" And I was like, "Well, really tell her." I sit next to like one of their marketing girls, and I was like, "I'm not the girl to say. Like I'm already here. Just tell her." And so we get to show just like the power of Penny Lynn. So Roller Rabbit's coming out, and we have to get that out by the end of the year or else, because they have other collaborations that we're not allowed to launch alongside of. Other things that we are looking forward to next year, we are really getting into licensing, which I'm very excited about. Some deals in the first quarter of next year. We actually almost have the full year booked, but the ones we have officially signed and ready to go are Tootsie Roll Industries, so your favorite candies. We're launching them in January. We'll have a line of canvases and accessories. In February, we are doing and launching Eloise, which again, a huge line of canvases and accessories. And then in March, we are doing Eric Carl, which again, a large line of canvases and accessories. All of those we actually just wrapped up officially last week into this week. So we have all of our canvases done. Tootsie and Eric Carl are being submitted. And then Eloise was submitted, but we have a lot of edits and changes to make. So we need to go back and just tweak a few things. One of the things we're doing with Eloise, though, is we are having like a needlepoint launch tea at the plaza. That is on February 10th. I think it's that Tuesday. And then the idea is to launch Friday the 13th. 10th, 13th. Yes. So be on the lookout for that. We are going to be selling tickets for a little afternoon tea. And the line is just, for all of them, the lines are really awesome. And I'm really excited. Some other people that we have signed, or no, that we are, I guess I can't probably say the other ones officially. Yeah, because none of them, we're in due diligence with 4. We have signed Bernstein Bears and Arthur for 2027. And then, yeah, I don't know, because some of these people we've signed NDAs for, so some of them I can't say, but there are a lot of really great collaborations coming. And our plan next year is to launch one official license every month for the year, and we're kind of lining those up. That's why I say like our 2026 is almost booked. We're also doing the same thing with our collective designers. So if you don't know what a collective designer is, it's basically someone under the umbrella of Penny Lynn, where we basically take on their production, marketing, selling, everything of their canvases, and it's basically like a license of their line. Kind of like what we're doing for licensing, but they design their own. So we have grown a bunch, and we probably have 10 emails of outreach each week. We have to kind of be like more selective because there's only so many weeks in the year to launch people. So what we're doing for next year, we're actually at 11 currently, is we are launching one new designer every month. This past year, it was just like a little complicated, especially as we had to like be flexible and move things around. That, some people got pushed back, and then there was like back-to-back launches, and I want to just like spread it out and be fair. So next year, we are only look to launch 12 designers, and we are currently at 11. One of them, though, is like a license, but like not like a full license collaboration. It's more of a kind of like what we did with Petit Keep. It wasn't like an official line, but it was like a collaboration between the two companies. So one of those might get moved over, but that is our plan for next year. So I'm really excited about all of that. Hopefully after these items get approved, I can kind of show you what the canvas previews look like and some of the accessories. Making Eloise was super easy. Making Eric Carl was easy, but I have like too many ideas. We actually created 49 canvases, and I was like, oh, that might be too many. And then for Tootsie, obviously the canvases are really easy, but the accessories I had the hardest time on. For some reason, I did not like candy prints. I don't know what it is about me. My mother, on the other hand, who has been the guiding light behind the candy licensing, is she's like, I love everything. It's amazing. Yes, do it in all the colors, do it in all the prints, add this. And I'm just like, okay, like let's be reasonable. But I do love her because she is our biggest supporter. So that has been the past few months. Looking forward, and this is you heard it here first. I did look at a retail space for a second location. Bum bum bum. Can't tell you where, when, how, or why, but just know I'm exploring. And it's gonna be great. Because we've been playing around with the idea of a second store, and it's interesting because it's I don't know how to like where to start with this. I never wanted to open a store. We opened a store in March, and I'll get into the story of that when I kind of go through the past 5 years of Penny Lynn. Um, but the store has just done so well. Obviously financially it is like living, breathing, doing its thing, but more for like bringing Penny Lynn to life, and like a legitimate place for people to come and step into and immerse yourself in, more of like a brand play that has like paid off in dividends. So I kind of want to test that theory in a second store. And financial, like when I talked to my financial advisor, Dylan, he's kinda like not my financial advisor. I call him the CEO of boring things. He does, like, all of our tax, finance, payroll, HR stuff, but he's also just kinda like my gut check. And he's wonderful. He's actually Riley Sheehy's husband, so that family is very ingrained in Penny Lynn, whether they want to be or not. Because Riley, designed our needlepoint print. I don't know if that's the lore of the print, but, it all just, like, comes full circle. She also created my wedding print, and that's how I ended up getting her to create the Penny Lynn print as well. But back to Dylan, I was like, "I wanna open a second store," and he's like, "Why?" It's not, like, to make money. Like, the store makes money, but it's more for brand, and, oh my gosh, I don't know if you heard that. Renee sneezes so loud, like, so loud. She scares me every time. Now it's quiet out there because she literally scared everyone else. God, I hope, let's see if the mic picked that up. Um, Renee, we do love you and your sneezes, but they scared the shit out of me. Where was I? Dylan was like, if you want to like make more money, like build out e-commerce, like get like a warehouse, like get more people, blah blah blah. But I was like, I kind of want to like build more brand, if that makes sense. So all that to say is like my motivation for opening a second store isn't necessarily money driven because, overhead is just expensive. But e-commerce is doing well that it's kind of like funding what I like to call fun projects. And I think if we end up going forward with a location where I am looking, I think it could be really fun and really cool. So that is that. Now I have officially yapped for 28 minutes, and 44 seconds, 45 seconds. And so now we will get into the second half of today, not to leave you on like that giant cliffhanger, or what my therapist calls a doorknob confession. It's like as you're leaving the door, you're like, hey, don't forget about this. Um, so let's talk about the story of Penny Lynn. And if you've heard it before, which I have a million times, obviously, because that's like my story. So sorry, feel free to like pop on out. But if you kind of want to go along for the ride or interested in how we got to where we are, it is a quick and fun and exciting ride. So my history with needlepoint is that my grandmother did teach me how to needlepoint when I was very young. She liked to stitch like wool on plastic coasters. I don't know. I feel like maybe you like had this. I was born in the 90s, so I grew up in that era. But like I have like plastic tissue cape covers like that she stitched and like you make into like either like a tissue box or like a cover, a coaster or whatever. And so I learned how to needlepoint in that way, but I didn't actually like learn how to needlepoint in the traditional sense of how it is today. That wasn't until I moved to Kentucky. I went to University of Kentucky and I graduated from Kentucky in 2013. So I was there from 09 to 13 and I had the best 4 years. It was the best. Go Cats. And when I got to Kentucky, I grew up all over. I came from Chicago. My parents were in Chicago. Came down and I was like this little North Shore lady and I came down and I immersed myself in the Southern experience. And I like found my true identity of prep and I was like, I am in. And I actually remember we had to like do for one of our communication classes, like we had to like dive into a realm that wasn't something we're familiar with and, write about our experience of immersing yourself. And I literally picked like Southern preppy culture. And I never looked back. So thank you to that class. And so let's see, I feel like everyone had these needlepoint belts. And I was like, what are these? How do you make them? I don't even really remember what year or how I officially got into it, but I remember going to the needlepoint store and being like, I want to make myself a belt. And it was either freshman or sophomore year. And I started needlepointing and I picked it up and it was just so fun. I don't know where I literally it's so weird because I, like, don't have, like, a lot of memories of needle pointing, but, like, I needle pointed 3 belts, within a year or 2, and, belts take a long time. But I remember doing it with my friends, but I don't really remember, like, I don't know, the concept of it all. It's very weird. So I stitched myself a belt, I stitched my boyfriend a belt at the time, I stitched my dad a belt, I stitched, a keychain, and I think we would just do it when we had free time? I honestly don't know because I remember going to, I remember going to, like, a lot of bars. Um, so, yeah, so I let's just say needle pointed in college, and I remember when I moved to New York, I moved to New York to because I got a job at Major League Baseball. I, like, got, like, a canvas to bring with me, and I remember my friend, like, being like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, nothing." It, like, wasn't, like, a thing, so I kind of just, like, laid it to the side, and I lived my best, 20-something life in New York City, and, worked MLB for 5 or 7 years, I don't know, 2013 to 2018, so 5 years, and had, like, a blog on the side, and then, got I was a part of a larger round of layoffs at MLB. I had this blog that I had been doing since college that was actually more successful, in year 2 than so I was making more money on the blog than I was at MLB. So it wasn't, like, detrimental, it was more detrimental to my pride getting laid off at MLB, but so I really delve into blogging, and I remember I got, married in 2019. And so before that, I stitched my husband a belt and then I stitched a ring bearer pillow for our wedding and got that done in time. And I fell back in love with needlepointing. And I was like, oh, like and it was like needlepointing was coming back into, like, the realm of popularity and grandma hobbies. And my friend was needlepointing and I was like, oh, like, I can help you, I can teach you. And it's like riding a bike. You pick it up and you just remember everything. And then I was like, okay, like, after my wedding, like, I'm gonna, like, get back on a needlepoint. And I was like, I'm not, like, gonna make it my whole personality, but, like, it was, like, a hobby that I was gonna start, like, doing in addition to the blog, being, like, showing people how to needlepoint, spreading the good word of the cult that is needlepoint. And so I remember, let's see, in February of 2020, I went back to Lexington. I went to the Eye Needle. I had, like, money in hand. I was like, I'm gonna buy so many projects. I'm gonna stock up. And I remember there wasn't, like, a ton of stuff. I remember, like, trying to find something, and that was obviously not about them. It was more about me and what I wanted to find. I don't think I really knew. But I remember not, like, I remember leaving with, like, one canvas, being like, "Okay," like, it was fine, but it didn't, like, first me, is that it didn't hit the same way now that my now that I was older. Um, and then in March, I went down to Palm Beach, and I remember my friend Carly was like, "Oh, you should go live site," and so I went there, and the store was beautiful. Jessica is a wonderful, creator and curator and has an eye for color and design, and she was really kind and she helped me, and she actually introduced me to Silk and Ivy. I was like, I don't know what this is, because, like, at iNeedle they just, like, give you DMC, but they give you all, like, only the amount you need. They don't give you the full skein. So, like, when Jessica was like, oh, you just, like, take the skein, I was like, oh, do I give you, like, the leftovers? She was like, no. So that was just, it's, like, funny looking back. I remember I picked up a brick cover because I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then the pandemic hits, and immediately I, like, dive into my stash, and I was like, it was a perfect thing to put on a rom-com and stitch and, like, not have to worry about the world ending. And I stitched through my stash really quickly, and I wanted to find more stuff, but simultaneously at the same time, the needlepoint industry was kind of combusting because everything halted. You couldn't get thread, you couldn't get canvases, all of the painting houses were closed, and everyone took a hit. I think there was, like, a run on white thread, and I remember also at the time, it's, like, even weird to think back because it really wasn't that long ago, but in 2020, like, a lot of stores didn't have online websites, and the people who did have websites weren't, like, a great user experience, and I was like, there has to be a better way, and I, like, really wanted this one canvas, and I had to find it online. I had to do, like, reverse Google image search and deep dives, and they were like, call us to order, and I was like, I would rather jump off a cliff than call anyone to do anything. But I did call, and they did send it to me, so it all worked out. I think I got it from Chapel Hill Needlepoint, actually. Shout out to Nancy. But, I was like, there has to be a better way, not thinking anything to myself, but then I kind of, like, really delve into, needlepoint. I made myself, like, a little needlepoint Instagram, and I was like, how cute would it be to have a cute project bag? Couldn't find one. How cute would it be to have blue white scissors? Couldn't find one. How cute would it be to have a Nantucket basket needle minder? Couldn't find one. So I was like, I kind of was like, I had free time on my hand. I was like, I wonder if I can make these things. Like, if I can't find them, how hard could it be? So I, start Googling around and, like, reach out to different people. Like, literally, I reached out to a girl on Etsy. I was like, can you help me make these needle minders? And she did. So, like, obviously, it was like a middleman through a middleman. Um, And for the scissors, I think I found something on like Alibaba and found those, and like everything, the minimum order quantity was like 100. And I was like, I just want one. And it was kind of like, well, I bet you like I could probably sell off, the other 90 of these, like give them some friends and family. And I had a platform and I had a following, and I was like, I could probably do that. If not, it was gonna be the most expensive scissor I've ever bought or needle binder I've ever bought. But then I started thinking more, and I was like, well, I really want like a Rouse coffee cup canvas. And so I started asking around of like, how do you paint or how do you do this? And at the time it was very gatekeepy, where nobody would kind of tell you what to do or how to do it, and they made it seem very difficult and confusing. And I remember reaching out to Plum, Joanna at Plum Designs, and she was like, oh, there's this thing called like Max Stitch, and I think that's how most people do it, and she freehands it, I believe. But she was like really helpful, and I just kind of took a stab at it, and I painted myself a canvas, and that's how they say the rest would be history. But all of a sudden I kind of look up, and I have now designed a canvas. I posted about it. People were like, oh, I want one. And I was like, I have free time. I'll paint you one. And then like 50 people were like, oh, I want one. I was like, okay, well, that's going to be a lot harder. And, it takes 8 hours to paint and all this stuff. And as I'm painting the Ross coffee cup for these people who just like generally told me they wanted to order one, I like was watching Schitt's Creek, and I was like, oh, it'd be really fun to have like a canvas that, says you David, or like I love Nantucket, got married in Nantucket, and it'd be really cute to have a hat with a bow on it. Like there's little stuff. And then by the time I'm like done painting these things, I kind of have enough to like have a collection of designs. I had accessories, I had project bags, and I was like, well, I guess like I'll just put these, like I'll just make a quick Shopify. I'll make it easily shoppable. It's so weird to even think back, because I remember the things I remember is that I was like, I'm not going to do this full time. This is not going to be a job. I'm not going to make this into a thing. But I'm also like, when I think back, I'm like, well, then what the hell were you doing? Like, if this wasn't going to be like a thing, why were you doing it? I think I just wanted something to do. I was like just blogging full time, and the world had kind of stopped for that. So I think I literally just had free time, and I was like, well, why the hell not? And so I created a Shopify, and I just remember going to bed each night being like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about what the experience would be when you open up a package, or how it would feel to shop on the site, or like what I wanted the images to look like. It was all very based off of like what I wanted as a stitcher. So that's why one of our like taglines, unofficial taglines, is like by stitcher for a stitcher. Like Penny Lynn at its core is just like everything that we sell and make and buy is just things that I personally want. And it's worked out for me so far. So we just continue going down the road. But I remember taking basically that summer to paint and design and create. And then in September of 2020, we launched, and it sold out immediately. It took me 6 months to get everything together. I was painting everything by hand. I was tapping on friends and family and anybody I could to get me to help. And I kicked my husband out, and I had my best friend's assistant come over, and we literally just like watched the Shopify ticker page go up and up and up. And then within 20 minutes, we were sold out and had done like $20,000. And I was like, what the hell? And then we got to packing, and I was like, okay, like I guess I don't really, I wish I had like taken more memory or stock of kind of my thought process, but I still don't remember like even after at launch being like, okay, like I'm going to make this into a thing. I think it was continuing just like a side passion project for many years, until I gave up blogging and decided it was like, oh, actually this might be a thing. But it's also like you think about the juxtaposition of like I was blogging, and I can make $5,000 from an Instagram story that takes me a few minutes to record and edit and post, versus an 8-hour canvas that I sell for $50 that like cost per time is like $2. So I remember my dad being like, this like isn't lucrative. Not like, what are you doing? But I remember, telling them that like, hey, I'm not going to work at MLB anymore. I'm going to like do blog full time, and, kind of getting them on board with that. But then all of a sudden, like changing within a year of going full time blogging to be like, hey, like I'm going to start painting canvases and not paying myself. And my dad was like, what? Like there has to be a way that this works where you're not doing this all yourself. And that's actually how I found out about painting services, did a little bit more research. Again, like this was like the time I feel like everything was very like under wraps, gate kept of how the industry worked or how everything happened behind the scenes. And reached out to Morgan Julia because she had just restocked like a large bunch of canvases. And I was like, are you painting these all yourself? And she's like, no, I work with Colonial. And I Googled them and I found out they're in White Plains. My husband's family is from like the Westchester area. And so I like emailed Tom and I was like, hey, I live in White Plains. I didn't. I lived on the Upper West Side or Midtown West. And I was like, I live in White Plains. Can I drop these off? And he was like, no, we're like booked, backed up. Like it'll be 10 months. And I'm like, but let me just drop off one. And he was like, I just like kept pestering him, and he's like, okay, fine, drop off one. And I came to his place and I dropped off 5, and I just like kept sending him more. And I'd have my mother-in-law drop stuff off because like we were just so close, and he just never said no. And so that's how I got in with painting. But so that was the end of 2020 into 2021. My biggest issue when I like kind of zoom out was we didn't have inventory. Everything would sell out almost immediately, and painting took forever, and there was only so much I could do and only so much like the people in my world could help with. So inventory was a big thing, and I kind of was like, okay, well, how do I get more inventory? Like what more can I do? And so I started tapping into designers, and that's actually how we started the collective. So I reached out to Jenna from the Grand Millennial because a lot of my Nantucket designs that I had wanted, she had already designed. So I wasn't going to like step on toes, but I was like, hey, you're starting to go back to like your normal life post COVID. Like, can I basically license your designs and like sell them, and I'll cut you a check at the end of each quarter? And for some reason or another, she said yes. Amanda came on as a designer, but also an employee. And she had a line. And so those were our first 2. And that was the idea of like getting more inventory, because I thought there's only so many designs I have that I can create. And so started to bring on other people to help kind of round out our line and give more opportunity for what people can buy. So that was 2021. And then into 2022, I had my first child, and I was packing orders after I put him down, or having him like strapped to my chest. And I was doing this out of we had moved to Connecticut during the end of at the end of 2020, and moved out to Connecticut and was like packing orders in the needlepoint office, which is now my second son's bedroom, and doing what I could, hitting up my post office man to be like, hey, I'm launching tomorrow, and I'm gonna have 300 packages for you. And this was still a time, I don't know if it was me or if it was COVID or demand, but everything we would launch, we would sell out, launch, sell out, launch, sell out. So if you look at like our Shopify statistics, like launch, huge spike, no launch, there's like 0 sales. Like there were days where we just like didn't get an order because we didn't have anything to sell. And it was all about keeping inventory, making sure that we had stuff, designs, people, products to like sell. So people, like when they came to the site, not everything was sold out. And so into 2022, we had, just like a really large spike. And with my child being born, I left blogging officially around that time, unofficially, because I never said anything. I was like, bye. And I remember being like, I can't do this by myself. And it was just me, and my sister would come up. She was still in the city, but she would come up maybe like once a week. And then my husband, who also had a full-time job. And I was like, I just can't do this. So we like kicked it over to a 3PL. And basically that's like third-party logistics and planning warehouse people. So like they pack all your orders. Like you send them your orders. This is how all major brands work. They have a factory who's like shipping them out for you. But it sounded like a great idea, and it was a great idea, but then needlepoint is like so specific, and I remember thinking like it was so great to like have them, but there was still so much back end stuff I had to do. I had to like get all the canvases, and we had to tape them all. We had to like put them all in poly wrap protectors. We had to skew and sticker them, and then we had to like, I would literally drive it out to Jersey and drop it off because it was like so much inventory. And then it was like, okay, well, you taped everything, but now you can't send that to wholesale because wholesale needs to be untaped. And so Amanda was working like as like our wholesale person, but she was in Chicago, and we were like sending stuff back and forth and splitting inventory. And it was just like so much headache that I was like, this isn't going to work. And it was also like, if we stay here, we can't grow the way I want to. Cause like we couldn't offer threads because you can't really like have a 3PL, like be like, oh, this is a 13 mesh canvas. Like, let me pick out your threads for you. That's not how they work. They, they scan barcodes and they send it out. So then in, I would say the end of 2022, I remember talking to Amanda, and I was like, I'm going to open, I'm going to get like an official place, like a studio, in Connecticut. And I was like, and I need somebody to be here with me and do this with me. And she was in Chicago at the time. And I was like, I want it to be you, but like, I'm not forcing you to move out. But if you don't move out, I will find somebody else to do it. Like you'll still stay on, but like, it won't be the same. And I was like, think about it. No pressure. Let me know. And I think at the beginning of 2023, she's like, okay, like I'll move out. So her and her boyfriend at the time, moved out of Connecticut, and we found a space in Westport, and we called it the showroom because it had like a front area that was big enough to like kind of hang out, and like there was a couch and a table, and you could hang out in like the back rooms where inventory and packing was, and it worked because it was just Amanda and I, and everything was great and good, and we were knocking things out. We launched acrylic, we launched wicker, like we were doing it, in 2023, and then I got pregnant. And I was like, we were just like starting to like ramp up on orders. And Amanda was like, we could probably use another like help, just like packing orders. And then I got pregnant. And when I get pregnant, I get like really, really sick for the first trimester, like viciously sick, where medicine doesn't even help. And so I got pregnant. She's like, we need to hire somebody. I was okay, hire somebody. And then she's like, I found 2 people that I really like. And I was like, hire them both. And so we hired Robin and Deb as like our first 2 part-time employees. And thankfully it like worked out because they came right when I got sick. And so I was like basically gone for 3 months. Subsequently, very sadly, I ended up losing that pregnancy. So at 13 weeks, I found out when we were like doing the scan that there wasn't a heartbeat. So that really sucked because, you spend 3 months being pregnant, being like viciously ill, for the baby not to work out. And we had to get a DNC. And I love having the right and the ability to do that, just as a quick little side note. So that happened and I came back, and this was like around November. And this is like generally around, like we were doing good. We were feeling fine. We had just started bringing on outside Penny Lynn designers. Like we were starting to buy wholesale, because we had a showroom. We were also able to offer threads. So like we had threads on the site, we had other people, and we were kind of becoming like a one-stop shop in needlepoint. And then TikTok blew up. Needlepoint blew up on TikTok in December of that year. And like into January, it was the craziest month we'd ever had in my life. Simultaneously, in the background, talk about personal life, my father-in-law was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer the day after my first son was born. And, that was 2 years of ups and downs. And then in December of 2023, right? 2023? Yeah, in the showroom, around like right after we had lost the baby, he took a turn for the worst and then got put in hospice in January. So if you're like looking at the big picture, like Penny Lynn was taking off. We were doing $300,000 a month. We were exceeding things. We were selling out of everything. It was insane. We were like the go-to people in the needlepoint boom, or one of them. And on the other side, I'm like taking care of or my dying father-in-law. And it was just such a weird paradox. It was the worst and best time of my life. So that happened, and we had trouble getting pregnant again. We lost him in February. The company continued taking off, and then we like hired a bunch more people, but we were like running out of room in the showroom. Like we were on top of each other. There was not enough, and we couldn't continue to grow because we didn't have the space to. So I started looking at different spaces, and during that time, one of the spaces that was like connected to our staircase where our showroom was like a retail space. And I was like, oh, like it might be like a little fun to like have that. I don't want to open a store, but like it could be fun because people would like come to the showroom, because originally it was like you come, you could shop, but because we got so busy, it like wasn't, you couldn't really shop. Like, you couldn't have somebody in there while there's 10 people in the back packing. It just like became kind of like a logistical issue. So I was like, okay, maybe we'll find a bigger space and like have like a retail arm of it. And that's like kind of how the whole thing started. And then one of our women who were working with us, Dorothy, she was like, well, if you ever open a store, like I'll be the manager. I was like, don't tempt me with a good time, Dorothy. Like, absolutely. Because I'm obsessed with her. And if you've ever had the chance to meet her, you know how wonderful she is. She is like the shining light of our Wheaton store. And so I would say it took about 9 months to like try and find a place. I would find a place and it would fall through. I'd find a place, it would fall through. Like, and we needed basically just like a big empty space. And, kind of figuring out like, how much can I afford? But now we're going through this huge growth phase. Maybe I can afford more and all this stuff. And it was just a lot. And then that summer when we were looking through, I got pregnant again, which was exciting because we had tried for a while, and then got pregnant and was more viciously sick than I'd ever been in my life. I literally was throwing up 3 times a day, every day. sleeping for 12 hours a day. That was the only way to cure my nausea. And I was on all the medicines. And I do believe that if men were to be pregnant, they wouldn't have to suffer like we do. So that was like, I literally went dark for 3 months. Like I can't even try to explain to you like how sick I was, but I wasn't around. And so I kind of came back to the show, and everyone's like, we cannot survive here. And it's like, okay. So I came back and I was like, let's find a place. I zoomed out on the map once because I wanted to stay in Westport. It wasn't really working out. And so I just like decided to like look a little further into Norwalk, found this space that in Rowayton, came to see it. And literally I remember like seeing it. I was like, this is actually perfect. And then saw the basement and I was like, where can I sign? So we ended up signing that lease. I think I saw it in November. We signed a lease in December and got the keys December 1 and started planning. This was also during that Black Friday sale talked about. Like we had to ship 4,000 orders. We had to cut off for Christmas, and then we had to move all of our stuff while I'm also pregnant. I think I got like keys like around 20 weeks. So we moved to Rowayton after Christmas, like I think between, I would say like December 20th to January 1 or 2, I was in here every single day moving stuff over with Amanda. I got my mom to come over. We were like building out plans. We were here every day. It's like, you can work Christmas Eve, right? Like to our contractors, but like, I just need this like wall put up. And so we got it all set up, thankfully. So it was a lot. It was just so much. I don't know how we did it even looking back, and I never want to do it again. As I talk about opening a second store, but we moved everything over and we needed to get e-commerce set up. So when people came back on January 1st, they could hit the ground running and start doing that. And thankfully we have such a wonderful team, and we hired a lot more people, and we just like, again, going back to people who were like just obsessed with being here. Like that's what we were all doing. We were just obsessed with being here, and we were going to do anything we could to make it work. And that's what we did. But I was literally here like morning to night, thankful that my husband was home with our son, but I was here 30 weeks pregnant, building shelving with my mom and like hanging threads and putting my dad to work. Like I feel like every time they come out, I'm like, what can you do for me today? Like what Container Store alpha can we put on the walls? So we did that, and then we got things up and running January 1. This is now 2025 this year. Woo. I told you it goes really fast. And let's see, then we spent the next few months getting the store ready. So my plan was, I said, let's focus on e-commerce. Let's get things up and running January 1. And we were like 90% there. And then I was like, then I'll think about retail, and I'll think about an opening date and what I want the store to look like or how we're going to do that. And then it took us the next 2 months, because we opened on March 1st for our store, of getting the store up and running, and just a lot of logistics, a lot of threads, a lot of stuff to do, like a lot of little tedious things, taping all the canvases, binding them, hanging them up, organizing them. Like it was just a lot, transferring over inventory. There's so much that goes into it. And then we opened the doors on March 1st. And I remember my mom was out for our opening. And we were like, got up Saturday, March 1st. And she's like, do you think there'll be a line? I was like, no. Like there's never been a line ever in Needlepoint. For a store opening, no. I was like, absolutely not. And we get there, the store opens at 10. We get there at 8. And there's like 10 people in line already. And I'm like, oh, what? And by the time we opened, the line was down the block and around the corner, and people in Rowayton. It's when I say Rowayton, like it's literally a street that is Rowayton. It's literally a street, maybe 3 or 4 blocks long. Obviously there's like a houses around us, but like this is not a line around the block kind of place. And people are walking by and being like, what the hell is going on? You know, like a Taylor Swift in there. I was like, I wish. Taylor, by the way, you're always invited. You're welcome to come whenever you want. I love you so much. And it was insane. It was insane. The line lasted until I think like 2 p.m. I would say no less than 1,000 people on the first day. We far exceeded sales. I think we did $100,000 in opening weekend, and it was just insane. And it was so fun, and it is a proof of concept kind of life, and people were saying such wonderful things, and we just have such a good group of people working in Penny Lynn in general. I can't say enough good things about them, but like in the store, like I will have people stop me on the street here, and they're like, the women that you have running that store are just so nice. And I'm like, I know, like I'm obsessed with them. And I don't know how we've gotten so lucky to have such a nice, knowledgeable, kind, encouraging group, but it's just like, we literally lucked out. I don't know where they came from, but I'm obsessed with them all. A lot of the people who work here were like customers, and so we like kind of converted them. We're like, do you want a discount every time you shop here? Like, come on, work for us. And it's just the team is the absolute best. Like everyone you meet here is like gonna be your new best friend. So we opened that, and it's, like I said, that was in March, and now it's November, and we have grown exponentially. Last year, we did a little over $3 million in sales, and this year we have already hit like 6.5. I know like talking about numbers is taboo, but I wish more people talked about it. So the only thing that ever stops me from talking about it is people talking about me, if that makes sense. But I would love everyone to be more open and honest, because it's like, is this good? Is it bad? Am I on track? Am I, knocking it out of the park? Like, I don't know. I don't have any frame of reference to compare it to. So, I think like when I like think about that, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I move on. But like, am I changing the world here? Should I be celebrating more? And then in addition to that, we actually just had our first ever $1 million month, like I talked about, last month. So it's just been a crazy ride, and I don't really know how we're doing it or why, but I think like my motivating factor, is not money, which I think like I'm really grateful for. We had a girl reach out, who wanted an internship, and she's like, I am interested in like finance. And I was like, we have what we need for finance. I was like, but if you can come up with an idea, like do it. And she's like, well, do you need help like budgeting or, projecting or all that stuff? And I was like, no, like we are in such a fortunate position. We've never taken on money. It's all self-funded by me, myself, and I. We have grown in such a way that every crazy expensive idea has kind of like worked out in our favor. Stores worked out in our favor, opening a bigger space, hiring people, all the things. Investing in wicker, investing in acrylic, investing in like the legal parts of getting a patent, like it all has paid off in dividends. And so it's just been so wonderful. And because our e-commerce business is so good, it thrives, we are able to take risks and chances without worry. And I think I'm just like, I think that's like the coolest part about this is that like I can basically do whatever I want. Like we can reach out to people who I thought we could never work with in our wildest dreams, and like we can make it happen because I think we're like not afraid to, and we don't play by any rule books, and we have money is not like an issue. Like it's never like, oh, we can't do this because we're tight on cash, or like, oh, we can't do this because we like X, Y, and Z. Like we can open a store because e-commerce lets us. The Royton store runs because e-commerce lets us. Like it's like this beast that feeds us all, if that makes sense. I don't even know how to really explain it, but very thankful for it. And so far, like we really haven't hit like major road bumps. Actually, the biggest road bump that I think of like off the top of my head is we got new packaging for our mailers and invested like $20,000 and got like a full 4 trucks of pallets in, and they are rendered useless. And now I'm stuck with a bunch of bubble mailers that I don't know what to do with, because I have a deep sense of anxiety about making sure that we're not contributing to the world garbage issue. I want to make sure they're properly recycled, but it's really hard to recycle plastic. So if anyone has any ideas about that, side note, my number is, email me, text me, what's it? Kim Possible. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Kim Possible. So yeah, that's like the biggest hiccup as of recent memory. But and so that brings us to where we are today. We have a store, we have e-commerce, we have been here just for a few months, and we're kind of already outgrowing the space, which is a real issue because it's like we can't go anywhere else. So that's why I think like opening a second store, while absolutely terrifying, I think we could do it. I don't know, but it's like we're able to take that leap. We're able to kind of see what happens, see if it pans out, and not necessarily to like make a ton of money. I feel like sometimes people who don't support me think that I'm just like some money hungry like PE firm, and I honestly am just doing things I want or like to do without having to worry about, I guess, the financial aspect. Like I need a social person, and we're just going to hire them. And like, we need more people. Like, let's just hire them. Like money, I don't have to like worry about money or budgeting, which I'm very, very, very thankful for, because e-commerce has just been doing so well. So it's fun to like invest in new people and new products and new spaces. And we always say Penny Lynn to the moon. So I've officially now talked your ear off for 1 hour and 1 minute. And I want to say thank you for being here and listening. And I'm excited for what this podcast can turn into. The idea for this podcast going forward is not just to have me talking to you for an hour. I mean, I might. Don't tempt me with a good time. But the idea is to kind of like talk to people in the last like 30 minutes of the podcast of like bringing on different people. And it's not just like a general like, oh, how'd you get started? Why do you do this? I want to have like really interesting conversations of like things I wish I wanted to hear. So like a good example is I really want to talk to, and nobody knows about this. So Caroline, if you're hearing this, like I would love to talk to Atlantic Blue and talk to her about why she wanted to start like a collective, because I know why I wanted to, but she also does something similar. And it's like, well, why do you want to? And kind of talk about from two different perspectives, two different businesses of what is helpful and what is hurtful and how it works. And, because we're doing the same thing, but we could run it completely differently. Or like another conversation I want to have is with Morgan, and, she's opening up her studio in Jersey City in just a few weeks. And I want to talk to her about why she doesn't want to bring on, like external vendors, like why she doesn't want to turn into a store, why she's only keeping it the Morgan Julia studio, because it's like we are doing the same thing, but we're doing it very differently. Another good like example of somebody to talk to is like Elizabeth Crane Shorts or Mopsy, Lucy from Mopsy Designs, of like they're a designer, but now they opened a store. And like I'm doing the same thing. So it's kind of like we're doing the same thing, but like, why are you doing it? Why'd you want to do it? I never wanted to open a store, but Lucy's dream has always been to open a store. That was always the plan. So I think it'd be really fun to have those kind of conversations where it's like similar, but we're doing it differently. And I think that would be helpful from like a business perspective of like talking about different ways forward or different ideas in your business and how to bring that to life. So that's the plan of not fleshed out, and I haven't talked to anybody about it. So don't hold me to it, but that's kind of like where I want to take this podcast. I also remember like meeting with the podcast guy, and he was so wonderful. It was maybe 6 months ago, and he was like, you just want to talk about needlepoint? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I don't know if like there's like appetite for that. And I was like, I don't really care if there's like an appetite for it. Like, I want to talk, and I want to yap, and I want to have people who are interested in it listen to it. If they're not, then don't. So that is my plan. And that's my podcast. And that's the Penny Lynn podcast. And we don't have an intro or an outro, but thanks for watching. Bye.